Raubex was founded by Koos Raubenheimer in Bloemfontein in 1974 and focused specifically on roads and related infrastructure development. It has a market cap of 4 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 13.5 and a dividend yield of 2.6. Paul, kick off this one.
Interesting operation, one of the few companies we talk about here which is headquartered in Bloemfontein. Started by the gentleman you mentioned. His son is involved in the business now. The guy that was most visible was a guy called Francois Dirksen. He's just left. Difficult. I mean, high margins, yes, and was on a real roll in the period we talked about. But since then, they've battled with a couple of projects that went a little bit over budget. The Free State's roads, or in fact, the whole Free State provincial government has been a mess. Overspending its budget, getting hit on by central government for messing up their accounts, projects frozen. I mean, they're owed 80 million rand by the central government and haven't been paid and so on. But having said all of that, it's got real expertise, it's got a good empowerment status, so it's perfectly positioned. And as we all know, all the roads in the Free State are full of potholes. So it's got to be a good opportunity, but it's kind of stumbled a little bit in recent years.
Anything behind Dirksen's leaving?
I can't comment on that, so I don't have any details, but I can say this. The business is poised to take a fair amount of turnover and a forward book through sub-Saharan Africa. They already have links with a number of African countries and contracts within different regions. So there's potential for international income. Unfortunately, a lot of their income is related to government spend, and that creates something of uncertainty in terms of turnover and in terms of cash payments. It's also a question of managing margins. There are some concerns about imported machinery, especially with a currency that has weakened so much. And very importantly, it has been subject as one of the companies that has been part of the subject of competitions, unfair competition.
But that is pretty much across the industry. I mean, if you look at the Competition Commission.
But it's got massively different implications for the different groups. Because what we noticed is a couple of years ago, the Competition Authority said they think there's been foul play amongst the construction companies. Whoa. Then they said, okay, we can investigate them all. And a couple of them turned whistleblower. But in the last few weeks, we've suddenly seen them all making provisions for fines of vastly different numerical quantums. This one, Raubex, has put in a provision in its most recent accounts of about 60 million rand, which is not too disastrous given its scale. But we've seen some others we're going to talk about tonight with hundreds of millions and others with hundreds of thousands. So there's not really been adequate public discussion of this. So that's a big issue.
The one thing that we do know is that this is across the industry as a whole. The whole construction industry is coming under scrutiny, even those that did do some whistleblowing.
Yes, and even the ones that did the whistleblowing seem to have been hit with even heavier fines. But I don't know what it does other than make the entire industry less desirable.
Hot or not on Raubex? Levan?
I'm not.
Hot or not?
No, especially with the management change. They did buy that business unit from Sasol recently called Tosis, which hopefully will deal with the bitumen shortage. But overall, I still think it's very murky, not hot.